Let's do it. I'm Black Hannibal, running through your capital on elephants. Civilize a savage with my elegance. Militant intelligence, run through your defense. Strike like a ninja, slice, cut, and injure. Leave no prisoners, just bodies on the battlefield. A Spartacus with a sword and shield. Something like a marksman with cold blue steel. War paint on my face, keep my identity concealed. Advance on your camp like dozens of killer ants. Snatch your king like chess, checkmate is his death. While my team have fun with your queen. Throw your bishops off the roof, your knights flee the scene. I plant bombs in the home of your pawns. The detonation shook the foundation of your rooks. Holding shotguns with double barrels. They impact so hard when it blasts through your body travels. Street Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Burn your flag as I overthrow your government. New politics, no Democrats and Republicans. Spiritual systems built by wise men who's true in living. The foundation's no longer Christian. Teaching universally the wisdom of the nations. New currency, no more dollar bills with white faces. No more Caucasian domination. All races participating, cultivating education. The people hungry and they ain't waiting. No more debating. Let's overthrow the haven to Satan. This whole world needs some new changes. Rulers with new faces. It's time to take out the racists. Spartacus from the new ages. From the page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. Spartacus from the new ages. From this page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. Yo. Peace, power, prosperity. What's going on? Rob Blackstorm, I'm back. It's been a while, y'all. Lots been happening in the world. Shout out to everyone who was here. I hope you are having a great day, whether you watch this on a replay. Hope you're having a great day, great evening, great morning, great afternoon, great night. Hope you're doing well. And if you're not doing well, I hope you are doing the research to help yourself become better. There is a lot happening in the world now, right? There's a lot going on. We see the situation, obviously, with Diddy, right? In New York, literally today, the mayor in New York just got indicted. They're the CEO of the whole staff, 23andMe, just left, right? They just resigned. All these CEOs resigning. The music industry is everybody's terrified. Am I on the tapes of, am I on the diddler tapes? Have I got caught? Who's seen me? And they're all running scared. Right now, what's really happening is we are in the age of truth. And because we're in the age of truth, people call it the age where everybody's getting exposed. But what are they getting exposed for, right? If you look at just what they're getting exposed for, then you're really missing the point. And the point is that the universe is bringing us back into alignment with what truth really is. And right now, what's happening is a lot of people are avoiding truth by any means necessary. What do I mean by avoiding the truth? They're avoiding the truth of who they really are. They're avoiding the truth of what they need to overcome as far as challenges. They're avoiding the truth of what changes they need to make as far as their character, their behavior, their psyche, their consciousness. They're avoiding the truth of how to approach relationships. They're avoiding the truth of, what career they should really be in, how they should follow their purpose, what type of means or what they should utilize to follow their purpose. And what they're doing is putting themselves in a escape reality zone, right? So as Kendrick said, we need to let the party die. Now let's bring this to the forefront. Present what the great Bobby Hemmett uh, told us years ago about what time it really is, and then we'll talk a little bit about this thing with the diddler, break it down a little bit, and just show you the signs and symbols of how we're at the end of an era, and the beginning of a new one. And this is a time for glory. It's a time for glory. It's a glorious time to be alive right now, whether you know it or not. This is a time where you should be shouting, you should be happy, you should be preparing yourself for the winter solstice, you should be getting yourself in spiritual order. And we'll get into what that is. But let's present this really quick and get into glory. All right. Because this is the time, if you know what you're doing, right? This is a time for the chosen. If the chosen know what they're doing, then this is a time for you. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're lost, you're still practicing escapism, sipping, a ton of lean, you know, having a bunch of sex, doing a bunch of let me travel to the next place, let me engage in some more hedonism, let me watch as much Netflix as I can, and you're not working on yourself, you're missing out on a grand opportunity to become who you are truly meant to be. This is the time. And that's why all these external things are falling apart. Not for you to focus on them, but for you to focus back on you. All right. And I'll show you how all these signs and symbols from the people who died recently. Actually, let's just get into it before I start long winding y'all and y'all start unsubscribing. All right, let's get it started.
This whole shit goes down during the fall equinox.
Breaking news, the Department of Homeland Security have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs.
On into the winter solstice, when you're supposed to be tapping in the energy. So they got cardinal points that they can shut you down based on you being all mad at the wrong shit. This is science. So they know when they want to divert your attention. Number one rule of mind control. If you can distract the conscious mind, you leave the subconscious mind wide open. And they can make drones out of you and whatever they want to. You see what I'm saying? So the first thing they do is when you get all distracted and all riled all up, that's a certain amount of energy, and they can use that energy to empower them to get to the next point. Meanwhile, you're supposed to be doggone tapping into your shit. Make sure every time, winter solstice, summer solstice, spring equinox, fall equinox, always some shit gonna jump down. This whole shit goes.
Now, so what Bobby was saying is that things are going to go down every fall equinox, but this is a time for you to tap in, right? And again, I'm not going to go into all the details of the whole diddler thing. We all, there's hours and hours and hours of footage out there. If you want to watch and get into every single detail of what he did and who he did it to and who's going to go down next, you'll be caught and stuck in a rabbit hole and you won't focus on what this time is. What Bobby said was around the fall equinox, right? Which was just last weekend, really. It started on the 20th, right? 20th, 21st, 22nd, even the 23rd. And not only did we have the fall equinox, right? Last week, we also had a super moon, right? A super full moon, which was in, what was that super full moon in? I believe it was in Pisces, if I'm correct, right? And Pisces deals with the imagination. Pisces also deals with the gut, right? Pisces also deals with the feet, right? Where you're moving, where you're going. So Pisces deals with the feet. But Pisces also represents fish, thoughts, ideas, right? What are you thinking? Where is the motion? What are you following, essentially, right? School of Fish, follow, right? If you see School of Fish, I mean, Nature Channel, National Geographic, or whatever, you see it's a group of them just following. That is the old age. So that full moon that we just had in Pisces, also there was Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto represents destruction and change. Capricorn represents work. So the way work industry is going to change, right? So this is also why you see all these CEOs leaving and falling down. Now, also remember, the last time that you saw a bunch of CEOs and everything falling down, the next thing that happened was on 3/11, right? The other 9/11, 3/11, 2020, we were all put under lockdown. We were all put under COVID lockdown. The last time, that January, all these CEOs started leaving companies and resigning, and other people started taking over, right? And then 3/11, 2020, we were locked down due to the pandemic, right? So something is coming down the pike, right? Now remember, we're also at war. America's at war. If you're an American, right? America's at war. America has the war in Ukraine. There's the war in with Israel. There's the war with uh, 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 China, right? Lurking. You got the whole BRICS thing where they're coming into alignment, right? There were ships circling, right around the Alaskan border and things like that. Chinese warships just chilling, sitting there, you know. There's situations in Haiti, right? There's a lot of things going on worldwide, where there's uprisings, where there's change, where there's transformation, right? So the whole thing with Diddy, right, being exposed and him coming basically to the front of the congregation, so to speak, it has nothing to do with color, right? It has nothing to do with the fact that he is, a black man, and people like Hugh Hefner did it, and this other one did it, and so why is he being the fall guy, right, for all the depravity in the world? Well, it has nothing to do with color. It has nothing to do with freak offs. It has nothing even to do with baby oil, right? Even though 1,000 bottles is crazy, I think most of that was put in there for sensationalism, right? To just make it seem like he's just this crazy sexual deviant. But Diddy is a symbol. And what he is a symbol of, and let me say this, I'm a Scorpio. I'm on the cusp of Libra Scorpio, but I was born late at night. So if you look at my chart, it's going to say Scorpio. So I run with Scorpio, right? But even though I have the Libra scale there. So shout out to the Libras right now. It's Libra season, right? And I remember when I first heard when the first things happened, right? The Cassie situation, and then this thing came down with when they was talking about the freak offs last year. And I thought about it for like 3 seconds. And as a Scorpio and him being a Scorpio, freak offs, I said he did that shit. I said he did that. Anything freaky that you could think of when the Scorpio is in his lowest nature, that's what he's going to do, right? But Diddy represents an era. In the 90s, right? Some of you guys were born in the 90s. Some of you guys may be too young to remember. But in the 90s, right, there was rappers, Fat Joe, Mobb Deep, M.O.P., Redman, Wu-Tang Clan, Tribe Called Quest, and Far Side, NWA, the list goes on and on and on. There was an era before there was materialism, rampant materialism. I remember there was a time, believe it or not, you may not even believe this, in the 80s, from let's say 85 to about 92, right? or I'll say even later than that. I say from 85 till about when Big died in what, 96, 97. So I'm gonna say from like 85 to 95, where people were wearing Louis Vuitton, people were wearing the Gucci's, people were wearing, all that stuff. And then there was a point where it kind of fell off, right? There was a point where all that designer clothes and everything fell off because you had Fat Farm, you had Rockaware coming up, you had Carl Kanai coming up, you had Cross Colors coming up. Now, what's significant about all these clothing brands, Mark Echo and things like that, these are the emergence of the streetwear brands, right? Which most of them were melanated, so-called black creatives creating these brands, FUBU, right? Creating these brands and bringing them out, and these brands were popular, right? They were considered the designer clothing of the day, right? Rockaware, things like that, right? This was the designer clothing of the day. Cross Colors, if I didn't say that already, right? This was the designer clothing of that time. Iceberg, things like that, right? And well, I don't think Iceberg was by a melanated person, but these creators created things that went against what's the so-called mainstream pop culture, elitism, right? It was against that. And artists like MOP, Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang Clan were counter pop. EPMD, Keep the Crossover, right? One of their biggest song to date is Crossover, and in the hook is Keep the Crossover, right? And it was about rappers turning pop, rappers becoming pop acts, rappers becoming a Diddy, right? It was, and the culture, right, of hip hop was anti all the materialism, all the flossing. If you went to a club in 94, 93, there was no VIP area. There was no, you're going to get bottles at a VIP and you were closed off from everyone. That didn't exist. You went in the club, everybody went to the club. And if there was a VIP, or I'm not going to say VIP area, there was VIP areas if you were a VIP, like an artist or, celebrity or something like that. But there was no tables and bottle service. That didn't exist. You came in the club, you party with everybody, right? If you went to the tunnel, you party with everybody, right? Went to the tunnel in New York City, popular nightclub, Funk Flex was DJing, you party with everybody, right? And then when Puff, right, started with Uptown Records, right? And Uptown Records was kind of like a pop label, right? And you need to understand this so you can understand. You got to understand your history, right? And if what do they say? Forgot who said this, but in order a tree, right, has to understand their roots. So you got to understand where we were to understand where we were wrong and understand where we're going, right? So you can understand the time you're in and see your reflection, as above, so below, and as below, so above. So if this is happening here, that means the universe is giving us a signal on what transformations we need to make and what we need to look at. So the history is that there was none of this flossing and all that. When Puff emerged out of Uptown Records was a pop label. So Uptown Records had Heavy D and the Boys, right? Uptown had Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, Father MC, and Puff was a background dancer. Diddy, right? Brother Love, whatever you want to call him, right? P. Diddy, all that. He was a background dancer, right? Andre Harrell ran Uptown Records. And eventually he formed his own label, Bad Boy Arista. Arista's under Clive Davis, right? Now, Clive Davis has recently come out, right? I believe last 10 or 15 years and said that he was homosexual, right? Doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you like a whole or a pole. I don't care, right? That's your business. But but in the 90s, when he was running Arista and was attached to Bad Boy, he didn't say he was a homosexual, right? There was no book where he committed that, right? That's just what he was. And I even have a homeboy who's from a popular horrorcore group, which I'm not going to say the name because you could Google it and you'll see who it is. But he's associated with somebody that's overseas, let's put it that way, right? Somebody that's in Bali right now, right? He was associated with him through blood. And from what he told me being a New Yorker, Clive Davis, he was basically offered a solo deal, right? Offered a solo deal in advance. And he went to Clive Davis' office. He was part of a group. a horror popular rap hardcore group back then. Not the Gravediggers. It was another one. It was semi-popular, let's put it that way. And he said he went to the office with Clive Davis. This from my own mouth. This is in the 90s, late 90s. My own mouth to ear, right? Me knowing the person. And said Clive Davis was in a chair and talking to him about the deal and what he's going to help him. He promised him a Benz, right, and a certain amount. I think it was like a $50,000 advance or something. Remember, this is the 90s, right? So adjust for inflation, right? So it was a pretty decent amount of money, maybe 50, maybe 100, something like that, right? Advance. And he basically Clive Davis told him about that, told him all that, and he said, "All right, my homeboy's ready to do it." So he said Clive Davis slid from behind the chair, and he didn't have no pants on. So Johnson and Johnson was all out there, right? Probably baby oiled up, you know what I'm saying? All out there out in public, right? And Clive Davis pointed to it, and he said, he looked at him, he said he turned around and left the room. Needless to say, you never heard of my homeboy as a rapper. Needless to say, the group suffered after that, didn't get a lot of promotion, right? And it basically, they were blackballed, and he was blackballed, never to be seen in the industry again. Right now, I think he works at Costco, right? No disrespect to him, people got to do what they got to do if you can't make it in the industry. But I say all that to say he didn't say he was gay back then. And if you lived in New York, all these shenanigans with, Puff, Bad Boy, these Diddy parties, right? If you talk to girls and, that are around the industry or surrounded, you already heard these stories about Brother Love, right? It's nothing new. But the thing is, he was the one, Bad Boy specifically, with Mace, the Locks, Craig Mack, Biggie, this is where he started getting these Versace, Moschino, Gucci, right? All these designer names started getting thrown out, Moet, right? All these things that had nothing to do with so-called black designers, right? The Carcanized, the Marc Echoes, the Cross Colors, all these, the Fat Farms, right? And they started going to European designers. Now, mind you, I don't even know how Biggie got a Versace shirt. You know what I'm saying? In the 90s. They didn't even make stuff for his size. He had to get a Versace shirt custom made. I'm sure of it, They didn't even make stuff. Now they're starting to make stuff for bigger size because niggas is buying it. But they didn't make stuff for niggas back then, right? Because of our build is usually bigger, right? European cut is usually smaller, right? If you go to like Express, like I can't shop at Express at all. That nothing at Express fits me, right? So I can imagine Biggie trying to wear, a Versace shirt in the 90s, right? So they had to custom make it. So I'm saying all this to say that he brought in a culture of materialism. He brought in a culture of externalism and money and jewelry. Him and along with Jay-Z coming after him, right? But materialism and jewelry and designer clothes and excess, right? And also hedonism. He brought that into the industry, but he got that and he was trained via his masters, Clive Davis and things like that. Now, we all have a choice to make in life, right? And we all go through the crossroads. And the crossroads is to decide what move are you going to make, right? When things are presented to you. My boy could have, did the diddler, right? And got into the industry, probably be a pop star, filthy rich, and, could have been living his life. But he chose not to, and now he's working at Costco's, So, the choices you make are the choices that make and break you. But my boy still has his asshole tight. He never got, his hole is still what Cat Williams said. He still has that tight virgin hole back there, He's never had to have an encounter with the diddler for a track to make money. And everybody's saying, what's his name? Hugh Hefner did this, and the Epsteins and the Weinsteins did this, and it wasn't as publicized. Well, first of all, Weinstein and Epstein are not they're not pop stars. So they're not going to get the same coverage as a Puff Daddy, right? It's not going to happen at all. That- that's just not going to happen. There's more attention on a so-called celebrity. They're called stars for a reason, right? Because they shine, their light is seen. They're more out there. But if you look at everything conversely, right, they also have more influence as well, right? They're also subject to more scrutiny. So people are going to look at them more and scrutinize them more and also pray for their downfall. Unfortunately, that's human nature, right? People want to see you rise, right? They want to see the hero, they want to see the underdog rise until the underdog rises higher than them. Then they want to see then they want to see that underdog fall again, right? It's just the nature of humans, the animal and man, so to speak, right? Of humanity itself. So when he came into the industry and he changed the industry, right? You see all these clothing companies, right, start to fall. You know, Rockaway was gone, Fubu fell off, Echo fell off, Carcanine fell off, Cross Colors fell off, right? All these independent melanated owned companies started to fall off. But guess what came on? Sean John, right? Fat Farm started to fall off, right? Sean John started to emerge, right? And there's a good book, like a lot of people are reading that fake Kim Porter book. That Kim Porter book is fake. It's fake as fuck, right? It's written by a Caucasian. Like it's super fake. It's not. It has nothing to do with Kim Porter. Albie Shore came out. The Family came out, but people are still sharing it like it's the gospel. The book that you really want to read is a book called Dancing with the Devil by Mark Curry. Dancing with the Devil by Mark Curry. It came out years ago. It exposes it all, right? From Russell Simmons to Diddy, right? And it goes into details and a lot of stuff that's happening now. He said many years ago. I don't even know why he's not doing interviews, right? Or why he's not out there. Because he said this many years ago, and it's a chance for his book to blow back up, right? But Dancing with the Devil by Mark Curry. Mark Curry was a former bad boy artist and writer, right? Forgot what song he was on, like one or two songs, but not a in my opinion, not a great artist, right? But Diddy represents the ending of that era. You know, right before on 9/11, right? Right 11, we had Kendrick come out with this, right? He came out with Let the Party Die, right? And in Let the Party Die came out on 9/11. And we know on 9/11, right, the towers fell, you know? And this was before Diddy got arrested. Remember, Diddy got arrested was it last week or this week? Last week, right? Yeah, last week he got arrested. Last Wednesday, right? Well, last Tuesday night. And this happened on 9/11. So literally he dropped this, you know, representing the towers falling. And he said it's time to watch the party die. The shit got too wicked to apologize, right? So people are saying they don't see Kendrick at the Super Bowl, but Kendrick is prophetic, right? Because Diddy is the one who brought the party into hip hop. Diddy's the one who brought the bottle service to hip hop. Diddy's the one who bought the VIP section tea and all these other so-called European luxury brands and pushed out the so-called black-owned brands. He's the one who brought that to hip hop, right? There's ramping partying and the pop star lifestyle, right? I just saw a movie that you guys should see called and shout out to Adika Butler. He recommended this in his blog and his Substack. Subscribe to his Adika Butler Substack too. Best $10 a month you could ever spend, and it's like he's advanced with the science. But he put me onto a movie in that blog called Blink Twice, and I went to see it yesterday. It's literally about these Hollywood parties and what happens. And there is a substance in these Hollywood parties, right, that they give people called devil's breath. Actually, let me share that with you. It's called, and I just discovered this scopiolone, right? Let me make sure. A scopiolone, I believe that's what it's called. And it basically, what it does is it allows your, let me pull it up. I got it here because I don't remember the spelling. But I was like, but it's called Devil's Breath. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. But what it does is it can help you scopolamine. That's what it's scopolamine. And it helps you, or it aids in you forgetting. It's a white powder, and you could forget. It helps you, or it aids in altering your memory, right? And it's something that I think they give, and that was in the movie. And the movie was produced by, or created and directed by Zoe Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz's daughter. So she has all the experiences with Hollywood parties that you could have. But let me pull this up. I don't know why this is not coming up. So this is what it is, and let me show you. So it says it's a scopolamine. It's a poisonous plant used as an anti-medic in motion sickness, as a preparative medication, for example. But it's also where is it? See, it's called Devil's Breath, but there is, and it says it can treat nausea, vomiting, but it also helps you lose your memory, and so memory loss. So hold on. So it says effects of chronic scopolamine, and it says deficits in the hippocampic layer can affect learning and memory. So basically what it does, and you could take your time to look into it deeper, but what it does is it actually allows you to lose your memory, right? That's the main thing. It allows you to lose your memory. So a lot of times when they have people at these parties, right, this is what I think they give them. So go see Blink Twice, right? If it's about to come out the movies anyway, right? But it's something that you guys should see if you are looking into this Diddy party situation and you want to understand. And let me say this: no one is, even with the Cassie situation, no one is. When Cassie entered the situation to meet with Diddy, right? Let's say she came into it just wanted to be a star. She met somebody famous. He charmed her, right? But once you know things are going left, right, you have to make a decision. Do you want to stay in and participate in the freak offs? Do you want to stay in the industry and, participate in what Diddy's doing? Or do you want to leave, right? Now, that choice, could be detrimental to your pop career. But you have to ask, did Cassie even have a pop career for all she went through, right? Did she blow up? Does she have any classics? No. So was all she went through even worth it, right? Was all she went through even worth it? So essentially, right? And Kendrick was prophetic for this when he was talking about, it's love, but tough love got to resort in violence. If you parade in gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. Tell us which casket to choose. Now, Puff is in a situation where he could die in jail. Like if he gets life, and everybody's, was Puff just guilty of the freak offs? No. Puff was forcing people to do things against their will. He was doing the same thing Harvey Weinstein was doing. Oh, you want this track, or you want to be in the industry? Okay, you got to participate in these freak offs, or else. And I got you. Oh, and you're going against me? Well, I got you recorded, Playboy. I got you recorded with the baby oil. I got you recorded having threesomes with men oiled up. I got you recorded, with Cassie in a threesome. I got you recorded, right? So I could blackmail you. This is what he was doing, right? And, it says they party more than bitches. Tell me, what are you working for, right? And if you look nowadays, right, what is hip hop basically? It's basically a big old party, right? Everybody wants to turn up, right? The thing is, they don't want Kendrick to perform at the Super Bowl because they want to turn up. They want to party. They want to have fun, right? They want to enjoy themselves. But Kendrick just had a concert that was epic. That's why they invited him for the Super Bowl in the first place. He just had an epic concert, right? And it wasn't just about Not Like Us. Like if you watch the whole concert, even if he just did not, even if he didn't do Not Like Us, it was an epic concert. And just me seeing it it's one of the best concerts. I don't even watch concerts like that on YouTube, but it's one of the best concerts I've ever seen. I wish I was there. So, and Kendrick drops, we all know Kendrick drops knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in his music, right? And he says, they don't hate me. They hate the man I represent, the type of man that never dick ride because I want a favor, right? And this is what Diddy was holding over people's heads, right? So it says, I feel for the women that he says, and he said basically the type of man he is. He says the man that resides in patience, so where the soldiers at? The ones that lost it all and learn from that. A thirst for life, head inside a book because he's concerned with that. Information that'll change his life because he yearns for that, right? Dedication, finding out what's right so he can earn from that. This is what Bobby Hemmett was talking about in the beginning of this video. When we talk about Libra, right? This is going to the astrology. When we talk about Libra, and let's talk about actually when this first happened. This happened in Virgo season. The sign of Virgo is basically, this is really all under Ma'at, right? And Ma'at, right, is basically controlling this time period. When you're talking about Virgo, what Virgo is holding wheat. Wheat is, if you look at the symbol of Virgo, wheat is what caused societies to grow. Wheat is what allowed people in Babylon, Sumeria, and ancient Kemet to create civilizations. Because once you're able to create and farm and cultivate wheat, you're able to create bread, right? You're able to have, cereal, grain, other food sources. And you can localize that in one place. When there's food, people will come, right? People are going to come to eat. You don't have to do all this hunting, right? You have a food source. So wheat is very important. It's the mother food to, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on, but it's the mother food to civilization. So with it being the mother food and Diddy, right? This started off with Cassie, him not paying Cassie. The whole thing started with him not paying Cassie, right? Where Cassie wanted to get paid and him not wanting to pay her. If he would have paid her, none of this would have ever happened. None of this exposure would have ever happened. But once she dropped that lawsuit and she dropped the details of the freak offs and how she was under manipulation, under control, and then they dropped the video after he was denying it of her getting abused, right? All the doors were open, right? And what she told the feds and what she put in her lawsuit was enough for Homeland Security to break into his house and take all the evidence. So that shows you that they have more that we didn't see and that we don't know. And there's going to be more to come as the time goes by, right? So this ties into that Virgo energy. And Virgo deals with organizing. It deals with structure, right? Which is what cultivation is. If you look at a farm and they're farming any type of herb, you see it in rows, right? You see it in rows, you see it in rows, you see it in rows, right? So it deals with a cultivating factor, right? You have to nurture wheat, right? You have to raise wheat, right? So it deals with how you are nurtured, the culture. And what do people call hip hop nowadays? People in the hood, urban people, right? They call it the culture, right? They call it the culture when they talk about hip hop and hip hop culture. And what has hip hop been producing lately, right? I was looking at Young Dolph's, some footage of the trial with Young Dolph's killer, And the two dudes who shot at young Dolph, one of them is snitching on the other. And the dude that's snitching sounds happy to be snitching. He sounds excited. He sounds comfortable. And the prosecutors asked him, like, or the DA, whatever, they asked him, like, why, they asked him, like, why did you shoot him? Why did you shoot young Dolph? And he was like, I just needed some money, man. He's like, I just need some money, man. He's like, and they asked him, how did you feel after you shot young Dolph? He said, I ain't feel nothing. I ain't feel nothing, right? How many rap songs do you hear about being cold-hearted? How many R&B songs now do you hear about being cold-hearted, being cutthroat? I'll take your bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'll snake somebody quick. You know what I'm saying? Even Glorilla. You know what I'm saying? If something goes down, I'm paraphrasing. If something goes down, I'll sit down and eat some. These are the messages that the culture is giving the youth and kids. The brain doesn't develop fully until you're like 25 years old. So the demographic that hip hop is mainly marketing to is kids, is children, right? So they're hearing these messages, and these boys are young. Like the dudes that got young Dolph, I think they were like 19, 18, 19-year-old boys. And now they're about to do life behind bars. Like this is what the culture is producing, right? But the culture also has been influenced, right, by demonic spirits, and this all started again with Clive Davis, right, who basically made Puff who he is, and Puff, continuing the program, getting the benefits. I just watched Transformers 1. That last week I watched Transformers 1. And in Transformers 1, I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who didn't see it, but the person that was running Cybertron, right? Basically, he had his team of elite people, and only his elite could transform. So his elites had the power of transformation, and they had their gearboxes in their chests, basically their hearts, right? So he had their hearts, so they were allowed to transform. Optimus Prime, whose name was Orion Pax. So Orion Pax and D16, which is Megatron, they didn't have their gear, so they couldn't transform. And all the miners didn't have their gear, so they couldn't transform, right? Now, the head of Cybertron, who had his transforming elite, right, really was being uh, uh, manipulated and influenced by an animalistic race, by some beast-looking creatures, right? Who look like roaches, like parasites. And he was basically feeding these beasts and these parasites the energon that the miners were mining. Puff is doing, right? Puff is basically getting the money, getting the shine. All they need to do is influence one, right? How Dead Press said in their song, and in the song Psychology, do you influence your whole crew, right? It's psychology. So we got to let the party die. And a lot of things are just coming to light right now, right? And things are springing into truth. And again, it goes back to that Virgo aspect of culture. Like, what are we cultivating? What are we creating? What are the principles, right? When are we going to get back to becoming the greatness that we are? If we say that melanated people are the greatest things on the planet, and we are gods, and we are goddesses, and we're the most high, and we're these super high vibrational gods and goddesses, and all these great things, and nine ether beings, and all these great things that we're talking about, then we really got to live that, right? We're not on Hugh Hefner's timeline. We're not on Jeff Epstein's timeline. We're not on Clive Davis's timeline. We're not on Harvey Weinstein's timeline. That's not the genesis of who we are. So we are going to get judged much more harshly, right? Forget not just because of the racism, but we're going to get judged much more harshly because of the royalty in our DNA, the God power that is in our DNA. And without us not honoring that God power or cultivating that God power, right? Again, the wheat going back to Virgo, which is why this started in Virgo season, right? Without us bringing order from chaos, you're going to see more and more destruction. So you're seeing more and more of these CEOs. Some of them was involved in freak offs. Some of them were not. Some of them are involved in freak offs. Some of them would just know that there's something big coming and they're resigning, right? And I'm not aiming to prophesize about what is going to come, right? But it is definitely going to be something big because, again, history repeats itself. So if this happened in 9/11 when all the CEOs were resigning, it's going to happen again. So we're in, and all this is basically Ma'at. And Ma'atian principles are this. Ma'at is basically Virgo and Libra at the same time. Ma'at is the feather, which represents the wheat, and Virgo is the scale, which represents the Anubis scale that Ma'at holds, right? And let's just look up some principles of Ma'at so that we can understand exactly what time we're in and what we need to look at. Let's do this. I don't know why my computer's going so slow right now. All right, let me add this. So Ma'at principles are, let me put it like this. So Ma'at principles, right? So Ma'at is a Kemetic, so-called Egyptian deity. And the concepts are truth, justice, law, integrity, uprightness, correctness, righteousness, steadfast, unalterable, reality, order, stability, continuity, equilibrium, balance, measurement, reciprocity. And you could see all of this in this whole Puffy situation, right? You could see this with even the Mayor Adams situation, right? You could see this in a lot of different situations, right? Ma'at, right? Concept of right, true, real, genuine, upright, righteousness, just, authentic, right? Morality, right? Karma, dharma, Tao, right? Me, Asha, right? You could even say Ashe, right? And the list goes on and on. But if you look at this feather right at the bottom, right? What does a feather on Ma'at's head represent, right? And this is what the society, right, that built great pyramids to mirror the Orion's belt, the three great pyramids of Kemet to mirror Orion's belt, right? These are people who had star maps of the universes in their temples, right? These are people who had great societies where people are still finding chambers with mummies and statues of deities and jewels and remnants to this day, right? This is a thousands year old society where to this day they're still finding chambers, they're still finding hidden treasures, right? Hidden in the darkness somewhere. So they knew something, right? And they lived under a certain law, spiritual law. Now, Ma'at's husband or her consort, whatever you want to call it, right? Brother, it's really a variable, is Tahuti or thought, right? Tahuti, thought, Hermes Trismegistus, whatever, right? And that is the written word. Now, what this feather on the bottom symbolizes, it symbolizes what most people have lost, what the guy who shot young Dolph lost. It symbolizes you having a conscience. We say people are conscious, but I'm not talking about consciousness. I'm talking about heart, having a conscience. And most people, due to going through adverse situations in the world, right? Going through the urban dilemmas, going through a lot of the situations that we go through in life, have lost their conscience. Most people don't have any clue or are not in touch with their conscience at all. They're as cold as the killer of Young Dolph who said, I felt nothing killing him. I was just trying to get some money. That's what the culture has produced. Dudes who kill rappers for $800, right? This is what the culture is producing, right? Obviously, this has nothing to do with truth, justice, law, or integrity, right? Those things have to do with consciousness. And the feather on Mot's head is the same feather that Virgo is holding. The feather on Mot's head is the same wheat that Virgo is holding. And it deals with a cultivation. The same way you cultivate wheat to build a society is the same way you cultivate men or humans with a conscience, right? That's not weighed down by emotion. You see, real truth, right? Real truth has nothing to do with how you feel. Real truth has nothing to do with how you feel. It doesn't matter if you like the person or dislike the person. Doesn't matter if you have feelings for them. It doesn't matter if they're your lover. It doesn't matter if they're your son, your daughter, your best friend, your homie, all that. The truth is the truth. And the truth always is. And being in touch and cultivating truth means you are cultivating your conscious. You're cultivating your conscience, right? And you're bringing that conscience back into you. And that conscience is now light as a feather. So this way you can sense what's truth by looking at abstract things. Looking at, for instance, right? Many people will say that the villain always thinks he's the hero, right? The villain always thinks he's the hero. He always thinks he's doing the right thing. The villain always has a logical reason on why they're doing what they're doing. Or else the story wouldn't be impactful if the hero didn't make or the villain didn't have some sort of sense or didn't have an agenda that made sense to them. So you're the villain in somebody's story. No matter how righteous you think you are, there's people who hate you for whatever reason they hate you, right? You're the villain in someone's story. So this is when you get into the concept of good and bad being relative, right? So now we have to come to the understanding of what really is truth, right? If there's good and bad, and we know good and bad, man's law cannot provide what good and bad is. I'm gonna say that again. Man's law here on earth in the law books cannot tell you what good and bad is. The Bible cannot tell you what right and wrong is. The Quran cannot tell you what right and wrong is. The Torah cannot tell you what right and wrong is. The Bhagavad Gita cannot tell you what right and wrong is, right? But what can tell you what right and wrong is the Kabbalion, the 7 universal laws of so-called Hermes, the Hermetic laws, which are really the Kemetic laws. They tell you what right and wrong is. Mentalism, vibration, polarity, cause and effect, correspondence, gender, rhythm. And besides mentalism, everything else is about balance. Polarity is balance, right? Everything has equal and opposite poles. Polarity, right? Polarity is balance. Vibrate, everything vibrates. Well, besides vibration too, everything else. And vibration also has different frequencies, right? You have correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Cause and effect. Every cause has an effect, and every effect has a cause. All these things deal with polarity, right? So morality means that good and bad must exist, right? This is the truth. Good and bad must exist. You will not know what bad is without good, and you will not know what good is without bad, right? And what good and bad is subjective. So what is the truth? How do you gain conscience, right? You gain conscience by understanding one simple thing. And this was taught to you in the Bibles if you went to school, if you went to any type of, church, right? This was taught to you, and it's in the Bible. I believe it's in the book of Matthew. And it is to treat thy neighbor as yourself. In fact, Jesus said that is the highest law, right? Jesus basically paraphrasing said, if you don't know anything else, and just because you left the church don't mean that there was no truth in there, right? But if there's anything else, if you don't know anything else, basically, it's to treat thy neighbor as thyself. Now, how many people treat thy neighbor as thyself, right? Let's look at an example, right? There's probably people out there that think they're good people, think they're great people, right? And will sit in their car with their baby in the back seat, smoking a cigarette. When the window is cold, so the window might be this crack, or in the summer, the window might be cracked. But they don't realize, or they're smoking in the house, right? Smoking cigarettes in the house with their children in the house. Now, the science is that secondhand smoke is just as deadly as regular smoke, or even more deadly, right? But you got the baby in the back seat, or you got the children in the house, and you smoking cigarettes in the house with them inhaling the secondhand smoke, right? Now, if you're thinking of these children as you think of yourself, you're going to go outside and smoke your cigarette, right? Or you're going to stop the car, park somewhere, and go outside and smoke your cigarette, right? This is what you're going to do. Or you're not going to smoke a cigarette at all because you understand the danger it's doing to your body. One of the other things about Ma'at is the lore is that Ma'at is the daughter of Ra'ah, or the daughter of Ra. Ra is not the sun god. Ra is Chi. Ra is what you call Kundalini. Ra is what you call Ra in the Kemetic tradition, right? Chi, Kundalini, Prana, right? All those things. And it's basically energy moving from the sacral, right? Up your 33 vertebrae, right? Which is why Christ died at 33. That's the metaphor, 33. And going up into the crown, or your third eye, and then up into your crown chakra, your ajna chakra, and then up into your crown chakra. Without this energy being cultivated on a lifestyle, on a continuous basis, you will not have the spiritual power, what they call willpower, to live truth. What you will happen is you will be swayed by your emotions. For instance, right? There's the fake thing with the Kim memoir circling around, right? And I told a couple of people that this Kim memoir is fake, right? When it first came out, I was like, this thing is fake, right? You could tell it's fake. There's mad, what do they call it? You know, the way it's written, it's not coherent, right? There's a lot of misspelled words, there's bad grammar, right? It's just not well written. But people took it and ran with it because they thought Kim Porter wrote it, right? Telling people, but people don't care about the truth because the lie is more entertaining. So they're like, oh, I don't care, it's entertaining, or well, I don't know, I think it's true, right? And I'm telling them, yo, it's not true, it's fake, but they're like running with it. So I gave up. I was like, yo, some people, so again, there's people who nowadays who are cultivated just to go off their emotions, just to go off their feelings and ignore the truth completely because their emotions are involved in the entertainment aspect. And this is how you measure what truth is. Are you treating the other person as you would treat yourself, right? And if people treated each other as they would treat themselves, regardless of if they like them, if they don't like them, if they think they're great, if they think they're ugly, if they think they're pretty, if they got a BBL or not, right? If they baby daddy or baby mama is in their life, if they got a girlfriend or not, if they treated people the way they wanted to be treated, this world obviously would be in a better place, right? If people had a conscience to say, yo, this isn't right. I can't do this to somebody else because I wouldn't want this done to my daughter. I wouldn't want this done to my son. There's a lot of popular people in the quote unquote YouTube land in the conscious community. And, they're following certain speakers that are popular. Some people, I don't have to say their names, some of these speakers that have been arrested, that are incarcerated, that had some of these salacious Diddy type of crimes, right? If you think about it, right? What's Rashid, let's say some names. What's Rashad Jamal arrested for? What's Brother Polite arrested for, right? They both have similar crimes with little girls, right? What's Puff arrested for, right? What did Kendrick say about Drake? What did Kendrick say about Drake, right? Over and over again. Certified PDF file, right? Look at what happened with R. Kelly, right? Bill Cosby. It's the same pattern over and over and over. But what they want, what's happening to them, done to their daughters or done to their aunts or done to their mothers? This is where conscious comes in. So when people talk about spirituality, people talk about spirituality from a vein of ego most of the time. It's a vein of, I'm smarter than you. I have more crystals than you. I know this and you don't know that. Oh, you're a Christian, haha, you're a fool. Oh, you're a Muslim, haha, you're a fool. Where I'm talking about esoteric spirituality, right? I'm better than you, right? I'm shining my light. I tell people all the time, I don't throw away my friends if they're sincerely my friend. I got street dudes that are my friend that don't care nothing about a chakra. I got street homegirls that will cut you for me. They don't care nothing about a kundalini. They don't care nothing about nothing that I'm talking about to you right now. But guess what? If I'm in the jam, they're going to hold me down and vice versa. They knew me when I wasn't this person. So I'm not going to just flip on them. You know what I'm saying? As long as they ain't flipping on me and talking about what I'm doing and trying to crush me in any way and belittle me in any way, but still treat me with honor, respect, and joy, I treat them with honor, respect, and joy. That's my art. You understand? Don't just abandon people because some YouTuber tells you, oh, now you are woke and you've achieved some spiritual high and you've read some books and you maybe done a couple of rituals with some candles and now you think you're better than everybody, so you got to separate yourself and now you're isolated and lonely. No. If these people respect you for who you are, respect them for who they are. They don't have to follow your path. Your mama ain't got to follow your path if she's been praying to Jesus for the last 50 years. Let mama live. Some of those prayers probably helped you. Let mama live. Let her go to church and leave her the fuck alone. Let grandma live. Let grandpa live. Leave them the fuck alone. Right? Your life, your ma'at, your move. Ma'at was a sign of measurement. If you look at this picture of ma'at, right? You see her holding a scepter. You see her holding the ankh, right? Well, the ankh represents or om or ankh. The word ankh, right, is ankh is a symbol. But ankh is really hiding the mantra om or om, right? Which is the vibration om or om, which you see in a lot of ancient like Hindu philosophy and things like that, right? Which is basically Black Dravidian, so-called Black, right? Melanated Dravidian people, which are Black people, right? But I won't go into that history. But these are the people of quote unquote Indish Kush, right? Which are people from the Sudan that migrated, right, to India. But anyway, the modern day Sudan, right? But that part of Sudan was really Kush, right? So they were called Indish Kush people. They had these concepts that they took from Kemet. So the Ankh really has the mantra Om. And Om, what it does when you chant Om in a meditation, what it does is it stirs the waters in your body. That 70% water that you are, which corresponds with the 70% of water that's on the earth, it vibrates that water. Om vibrates that water in you, right? It stirs it up. It gives it frequency. It raises your kundalini essentially, right? It stirs the nadis, right? As the Hindus would say, right? And in her left hand, what she's holding, right here, is papyrus, right? A staff of papyrus. And that staff of papyrus is the law. Is it man's law? No. It's the law of the feather, right? It's the law of your conscience. It's the law of you treating someone with love. And it is the real foundation of love. Ma'at is really the foundation of love. And this is where you get that high vibration body. So what Ma'at does is the heart is now weighed by that feather. You understand? And your heart is the source. Your heart is what keeps you alive, right? It's not your brain, right? You could be brain dead and your heart's still pumping and you're in a coma. You're good, right? You could that brain, you still be alive. You could still be alive on a machine as long as that heart is still pumping. If that heart is gone, it's over. So the heart it represents what direction you're going, right? The heart, it represents who you truly are. It represents your connection to all things, right? Breath, right? Your heart pumps oxygen into your lungs, right? It represents your energy. It represents your connection and your That's why the heart chakra is green, right? If you look at the earth, right? The earth is green. Green grass, green forest, right? Right now you see, it's fall, so you see the leaves and everything are changing color, but the grass is still green, right? The grass don't change color. The grass is still green all the time. So it represents that greenery of the soil. So that's that connection to you and everything here. So when you're moving with your heart, right? What do they say? I know things by heart, right? Trust your heart, right? Follow your heart, you know. But what direction is your heart? So that's why the heart is weighed by a feather, because the heart is weighed by your conscience, not your conscience, not your emotions, your conscience, not your emotions, your conscience, not your emotions. How would you treat this person? So if Diddy was your brother, right? You have to look at it like what Black Panther did. If he was your brother in your family, right? Not your black brother, right? If he was a brother in your family, would you want him to go to jail, right? Possibly, right? He did beat Cassie after all. He did manipulate people, right? And he did hold certain, you know, quid pro quo people, for lack of a better term, tape people, right, without their knowledge, right, to blackmail them. He did those things. These are facts, right? But if you look in the movie Civil War, right, the Winter Soldier, so what's Marvel Civil War, right, with Iron Man and Captain America, and Black Panther was introduced in that movie. And Black Panther, basically, this father was killed, right? His father was killed by the Winter Soldier. And at the end of the movie, what happened was that Black Panther didn't kill the Winter Soldier. Black Panther took the Winter Soldier to Wakanda so he could heal, right? And healed him, right? Repaired his arm, because Black Panther realized that Bucky, the Winter Soldier, was under mind control. And believe it or not, Puffy is under mind control for how he was groomed for when he was young. This is, again, goes back to Virgo. This goes back to my aunt. This goes back to cultivating, right? Raising the wheat, cultivating, right? So it's not a coincidence that all this stuff is happening now. All these people are getting judged. Their heart is being weighed by a feather now, because we're in the fall equinox, and this is the time when these things happen. Drop a 7 in the chat if what I'm saying is making sense. I hope I'm not losing anybody, but I really want to understand this concept, because this is one of the highest concepts you could really understand when it comes to spirituality. And this is what leads to your spiritual protection. I always say the best spiritual protection is a high vibrational body. The best spiritual protection is a high vibrational body. Yeah, you can get as much black tourmaline and elite shungite you want. But if you're a piece of shit, if you're a piece of garbage, if you're grimy, if you're manipulative, if you're selfish, right? Eventually, you're going to get back that energy that you put out, right? Your heart's going to be weighed by the feather, right? You're going to get that energy back that you put out. The karma you control, right? There ain't nobody outside controlling karma, right? You reap what you sow. You reap what you cultivate. This is the culture that we've cultivated. So we're reaping it. Look at what's happening to melanated people in America, right? We just want to party. The kids are looking dusty, right? I remember when I was growing up, man, and not to sound like, old fuddy duddy, but I remember back in the days, you would see, kids would be fly, especially here in New York. Like, kids would be fly. They would look fly. They would look clean. Haircuts nice. The men, the women, now these kids just look like whatever. Half of them look depressed. Half of them are smoked out, doped out, moped out. You know what I'm saying? Looking like they just ready to give up on life. Depression all in them, right? The parents aren't any better. The parents yelling at their kids, saying all type of crazy things to them, right? Basically, micromanaging them, right? Fearful as hell, running them into stressing their kids out, right? Passing their fears on to their children that they haven't overcome, or they're not striving to overcome, passing their fears on to their children. This is what the culture has created, rampant materialism, to where people think that if they get rich and get enough money that they'll be able to transcend all their problems. Let me tell you something from someone who grew up with someone that was wealthy at one point in my life. No matter how much money you get, you will not if you are insecure, if you have low self-esteem, if you are selfish, if you are a person who's not a giver, if you are a person who doesn't understand no, if you're a person who is not evolving in your life, all you can have all the money in the world. The only thing money provides is comfort. That's it. Money can't buy happiness. Money can't buy love. It's an old adage, but it's true. You can't pay somebody to love you and care for you and treat you right. Most people, once that money's gone and if something happens, they're going to leave you. Look at all the people that were down with Diddy and supporting him. You don't see anybody coming to his defense. You don't see anybody coming online and saying, I knew him and I partied with him and he was a good guy and he gave me some money for this. And he gave me my first shot at a record deal. He's the one who brought me in the industry. Nobody is saying that. Nobody's defending him. But how many people did he have? How many celebrities did he have at his parties? How many people that were so-called upper echelon were there on the side with him? His money didn't save him. He's sitting in MDC right now doing 23-1 lockup. This is judgment. This is the karma. This is what he created. And yes, it's not just him. Yes, there's others out there, right? Drake, right? The whole Not Like Us thing and the backlash it brought him. He deserves that shit because there's plenty of proof that he's definitely got PDF file energy. He bought that shit upon himself. See, Ma'at is about living truth at the crossroads. See, many people, Alegba is a Yoruba, indigenous African deity, right? Also, you can say Alegba, you could say Legba, right? It's about living truth at the crossroads, right? It's about when shit hits the fan. When Clive Davis offers you $1 million, when Puffy offers you $1 million, when anybody offers you $1 million or 10 million or 20 million, and they say, well, you got to sacrifice your mother. She got to die in a car accident for you to get this energy, for you to become a pop star. You got to sacrifice your brother. You got to sacrifice your friend. And sacrifice doesn't necessarily mean killing them. Sacrifice could be separating yourself from them. Oh, I'm elite now. I can't fuck with you anymore. Conversely, I got this spiritual knowledge. I can't fuck with you anymore. I'm too good for you. I'm too smart for you. I'm too wise for you. I can't fuck around with you anymore. Right? They could be killing them in that way, separating yourself from the people you grew up with, right? Becoming a person who's no longer down to earth, right? That's one of the first things Puffy did before he knew he was coming back was he came back to Harlem, his hometown, his stomping ground. He came back, even though he knew he was going to get locked up, right? He went to Central Park, right? This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, where that shadow in you have to integrate and you have to live your truth, whatever it is. And you have to learn what that truth is. And that takes conscious. That takes you tapping into your conscience, not consciousness, your conscience. Avoid of what you so quote unquote feel, because your feelings aren't real. Your spirit is unconditioned. There is no father to your style. Yes, I'm a Scorpio. Yes, my moon's in Cancer, right? My ascendant is moon's in Gemini, my ascendant is in Cancer, or my rising is in Cancer, right? But that ain't who I am. I'm a spirit. I am water, 70% water. I am unconditioned. My DNA has a resonance in the time I was born. The stars I was under have a resonance due to the planet's electromagnetic field and my electromagnetic field, right, during the time I was born. But I'm not a Scorpio. I am God, and God is everything, and everything is everything. Let's say that again. I am God, you are God, and everything is everything, and you are everything. Means I am you, I am Puffy, I am Epstein, I am Weinstein. The darkness in them is the same darkness we all have in us. Whether you choose to express it or not is one thing, right? But maybe you have been offered the pop star deal. You haven't been offered $1 million. You haven't been offered the trip to the private islands, the trip to the private parties, and to fly on the private jets. You haven't gone through that crossroad yet. So you don't know what the fuck you would do. Real talk, right? But if you have a lifestyle of spiritual cultivation, you'll be able to tap in to who you truly are. And who you truly are is that you'll die on some principles. For instance, during the pandemic, I was willing to go to jail. I was willing to go back to jail in order to not take that hokey pokey. I already said in my spirit that if it comes to me going to jail, if they was going to jail people for not taking it, I'd go back to jail. Whatever it took, whatever it took, whatever the job thing, whatever the situation was, I would not take that hokey pokey. You have to have principles like that you would die on. And that's when you are truly living a spiritual life. When you're able to treat people the way you want to be treated, when your conscience is activated and treat people the way you would like to be treated, when your conscience is activated through that and not influenced by your emotions on how you feel, and all you're looking for is truth. So I tell people I'm not pro-black. I'm pro-truth. If the truth comes from the mouth of a Caucasian, if the truth comes from the mouth of an Arab, if the truth comes from the mouth of a homeless person, if the truth comes from the mouth of a parrot, nigga, I'm pro-truth. I'm pro-wisdom. I'm pro-understanding. Those are the principles that matter in real time. All that racial and they did this and they did that, yeah. Every culture was involved in some form of slavery, including your so-called black ass. Every culture. And if we started everything as melanated beings, then who started slavery? Study your history. You really study your history again, from a truth perspective, just seeking truth. Study the Barbary slave trade. The Barbary slave trade will tell you a lot, right? Melanated people used to sell Caucasian women for a higher price that they would get from Europe, sell them in Africa for a higher price because they were rare. There's slavery still going on right now in the Sudan. If you got deported and dropped off in the Sudan, right, deported from America or whatever country you're from and dropped off in the Sudan, you will be a slave right now. And it will be other people who look just like you enslaving you. And some Arabs as well, right? A lot of people, they asked the Hitler Youth, right? After, the Allied forces, defeated Hitler and the Nazis. And they asked them, why would you commit such atrocities? Why would you be bringing people in burning ovens? And let's not talk about, people don't talk about what, Hitler and them did in Africa, but, the brain experiments and things like that, right? But they asked him, they asked him, Hitler, why would you do all these things to people, right? And what they said was, we were just following orders. We were just following orders. And there's a lot of people like that. I'm just following orders. I'm just doing what I was told. I'm just following the law, right? The man's law has nothing to do with God's law. God's law has nothing to do with man's law. Man's law is corrupt. You could buy your way out of prison, even if you're, during in some cases, obviously, with the Puff try to get to 50 million, it didn't work, but maybe if he had 500 million to offer, they would have bailed him out. This is man's law, right? Even if you look at the law, right? The lady, if you go into any Supreme Court, any place in America, you're going to see inside the building or outside the building, what they call Lady Justice. You're going to see a woman holding that Ma'at scale, right? But that's a pimping, basically pimping Ma'at and misappropriating her legacy and misappropriating her archetype for their, because obviously ain't no truth in a real courtroom when they railroading niggas every day, right? Ain't no real truth, and they letting people of other hues go out, right? There's no truth in that, right? There's obviously bias, and those biases have emotional connotation. You see, people talk about reptilians. People talk about all these shape-shifting reptilians, but they don't realize that that's them in their own body. They think it's some alien shit, and you're gonna pull down your skin and scales gonna they think a nigga's gonna pull down their skin and scales gonna come out and Godzilla's shit's gonna pop, Godzilla's tail gonna pop out of them, and those are the real reptilians. You can believe that if you want, but I'm here to tell you, you have a reptilian in you. It's called the R complex, right? It's called the reptilian complex. It's the R complex, and it literally goes from your neck down to your spine, right? And it's basically is the animal part of you, the fight or flight, fright or fight part of you, right? Which is associated with the root chakra. This is the reptilian in you. And then you have, from the reptilian, then you have the mammalian brain, the limbic brain. Now that's the emotional part of you. And most people are stuck in that part of the brain, right? They're stuck in the emotional part of their brain. And if it doesn't go against their emotions, right? For instance, Kim Porter's book, the Kim Porter book is fake. Well, I like it. It's entertaining. So I'm gonna still read it. Even though it's it's a fiction, it's a fugazi. It's a fucking fugazi. People are still gonna believe it, right? I'm looking at YouTube and I'm seeing all these like some crazy YouTube titles like J-Lo got arrested, and any celebrity that was close to Diddy, Ben Affleck got arrested, and there's things that just are totally not true. 100,000 views, 300,000 views, 400,000 views, just things that are totally lies. And people don't take the time to pick up the phone and say, look, let me see if this is actually true before I waste my time and watch a fake ass video that I'm going to tell somebody else about that's an obvious lie and spread more not true. Because their emotions want to get the tea. They're not going to take the 5. Sometimes it takes less than 20 seconds with this particular thing to look something up and find the truth. But you'd rather run with the headline. That ain't my art. I was talking to a friend and we were talking about something, and we were like kind of debating their age, a person's age, right? We were talking about, I think, an artist or something, music artist. And we were debating a person's age. Now, mind you, I'm talking to a man that's 51 years old, right? We're debating somebody's age. I said, hold up. Let me see. Let me look it up. And you know what he said to me? He said, oh, word? I forgot we could look stuff up like that. He said, I forgot we could look stuff up like that. So what happened is, people, when you're stuck in your emotions, my brothers and sisters of all cultures and creeds, when you're stuck in your emotions, you're stuck in the animal part of yourself. You're stuck in the beast part of yourself. You're stuck in the lowest part of yourself, right? The animal mind, the animal mentality, right? Animals run strictly off emotion. They have no logic, no reasoning, right? No prefrontal cortex, right? Your prefrontal cortex is when you are able to make decisions devoid of emotions. That's why Neo, right, in the Matrix, right, was representing not only of the one, O-N-E, N-E-O, right, but also the neocortex, the ability to make decisions devoid of emotion. Remember, in the Matrix, the architect gave him choices, right? Architect choices was he could save everybody in Zion, or he could go save Trinity. The emotional pull would have caused him to save Trinity, which is what the Matrix, right? The architect told him the program has been running over and over and over and over again. Told him he was like, the 16th anomaly or some shit like that. And, he kept coming, a new Neo kept coming up, and they kept figuring out how to beat him. And those Neos kept choosing Trinity. But he didn't choose Trinity. He chose to save Zion, right? And when he chose to save Zion, he was able to save Trinity also, right? So And that's real love. Like, he chose what was more important, and what was more important was saving Zion, not saving Trinity, even though he loved Trinity. So this is what truth is, right? Truth has nothing to do with your feelings, has nothing to do with your emotions. Is your heart really light as a feather? Are you able to see things from an abstract perspective? Are you able to look at people? Like when Erica Badu said something, like they was talking about R. Kelly, right? And Erica Badu was like, he needs some healing. And people got on her, right? And what people got on her for is because they were leading from their own unhealed trauma, from their own not looking at it from his perspective, from their own not looking at it from R. Kelly's childhood and what he went down. Do these people need to be punished and be in prison and pay for their sins? Of course, right? Justice is justice. Mod is all about justice. Mod is all about karma. It's all about you getting what you deserve. But Ma'at is about truth, right? Truth is popping up everywhere. You know, it's not just Diddy. Truth is popping up everywhere. And it's the party and the lies need to die, right? Also, another person that was part of the whole, you know, bad boy, Rockefeller, designer clothes, drug dealer aesthetic, right? Dame Dash is the one who put Jay-Z on, you know? And look at what happened, right? He's associated with Puff as well, right? His teeth fucking fell out, right? He was talking about 50, his teeth fell out live. Dame's a Harlem dude. Harlem dudes don't like to get embarrassed, man. You know what I'm saying? Harlem dudes is all about stunting and fronting, you know what I'm saying, and stunting on you specifically, right? That's just the aesthetic of Harlem, man. You know, these are fly dudes, you know, that's what they like to do. They like to get fly, they like to stunt, you know, they like to talk that shit, right? And, you know, but his associated with Puff, right? He's talking, and his teeth falls out, right? Let the party die. He also is one, right? Just like Puffy dancing in the video, right? Now, I'm not going to accuse him of any sexual deviancy based on what I've seen of Dame and heard of Dame, right? I don't think he gets down like that. And he's one of the first people to like snuff Harvey Weinstein back in the days on the Paid in Full set, right? They filmed that shit in Harlem. So he's one of the people who snuffed Harvey Weinstein. And there's people who know that for a fact, right? It's not, this is facts. So I don't think Dame gets down like that, but he also was partaking in the whole get money, fuck niggas, you know, I'm a boss. You don't need a boss. If you have a boss, it's like calling a man daddy, right? All these things, right? Elitism, right? And it's all tied to elitism. I'm better than you. But my is not about none of that, right? But this is the truth, right? So people are seeing the truth. Yeah, he got a diamond grill, but the diamond grill falls out, and this is who you really are, Dame. This is, you really don't have teeth. And I salute him for also, you know, coming back and, you know, laughing it off and keeping it pushing, you know. He's not letting it get to him. But at the same time, this is a sign and symbol. Also, Libra, right, is about uniting, but Libra is also about where we're on the now. It's about communication, right? What you're saying out your mouth, what you're speaking, right? But not only your physical talk, but also your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself, right? This is one of the lessons that you have to, when you look at this, right, instead of just clowning him, look at what these things are trying to show you, right? Somebody faint big like this, their teeth fall out of their mouth. What are you saying, right? What type of things are you talking about, right? He was talking about 50 and talking down on 50 when this happened, right? And 50 must have like, like 50's mama, you know, rest in power, his ancestors. He got some strong ancestors protecting him. He might have some, you know, some witches in the background, some warlocks in the background somewhere, because when you fuck with 50, man, you just something's gonna happen, you know. It's just like, it's just some things just happen to people that fuck with 50, you know, and he just goes away unscathed, right? But, you know, also, you know, this whole thing with, you know, Ruby Rose, right? Ruby Rose and Drewski, right? Drewski, the comedian, Ruby Rose, popular Instagram influencer, you know. So it was staged, you know. It was a PR stunt, you know. And she said it straight up, like, you know, I only give it up if I'm in love. I don't care how much money a nigga got. I'm rich as F. He's funny and nice though. And for the record, I never slept with that man. But on Instagram, right, everybody was looking at this as, you know, oh man, Drewski got with Ruby Rose. This is goals, right? And it's the same way people are looking at Ciara and Russell Wilson, right? And whatever your favorite celebrity couple is, like people are hashtagging goals. But the truth is, you don't know what's going on in their household. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. You don't know if they're arguing. You don't know if they don't like each other. You don't know if they're just putting. How many people are fronting for the gram? How many people are fronting on Facebook? How many people are fronting on social media? Period. How many people are lying for views, for clicks, for likes? But this was a whole staged, whole staged relationship. How many of these celebrity relationships are staged and you don't know? And you see a couple of pictures and you think this is a real thing, right? But the truth, again, we're in Ma'at season, right? Libra and Virgo are both tied to Ma'at. My Libra is the Ma'at scale, and the Virgo symbol is Ma'at herself, right? So again, these are the signs and symbols, right, of what you really, the truth, right? Getting to the truth of matters, right? Show you more. Michael Eric Dyson, right? Michael Eric Dyson, the dude that used the biggest words that he's learned in college, right? Whenever he talks, right? He has, he's always using, what they call them $5 words, right? To make a point, you know, and writing all these books about rappers to gain clout, right? And he got caught, with these DMs as the thing loads up. But actually, I think I have him right here. And he's always talking, this bliggity, 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 bliggity black, I'm black, y'all, I'm black, y'all, I'm bliggity, 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 black, y'all, right? And he's doing all that. And he's flirting with white women, you know? And not only Caucasian women, but a Caucasian woman that he called a racist, right? He called this woman a racist live on CNN. He didn't say necessarily she's a racist, but he implied that she was racist, right? And look at him. Shh, don't tell anybody. We look good together. She laughs. Ha 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 ha. Well, your gorgeousness makes the photos. So there's that. And who knows what else he said next, right? Because there's still another message behind here that she didn't reveal. But this Caucasian chick took this to Congress and put it in the congressional record. And then he tried to come out and say he wasn't flirting with her. Well, anybody with two eyes and a little bit of sense can tell this is a flirty ass text. Any man knows this is a flirty ass text. Saying your gorgeousness makes up for it. You don't say that to a friend or a colleague. You don't say that, right? You don't say we look good together and then compliment somebody's gorgeousness. That's flirting, my brother. That's flirting, my nigga. Right? But again, Ma'at is exposing the truth, right? That is her job, to bring out the truth. And this is what Bobby was talking about. In the fall equinox, this is the time for you to tap into energy of your truth, of your purpose, of your spiritual power. Who are you, right? All these CEOs, going down, all these CEOs going down, Warner Music Group, Kevin Lyle stepping down, right? And now Lucien Grange is coming in, this person stepping down to Warner Music, right? People laid off on Atlantic Records, academics. He'll take the entire industry down if he's convicted. Capital Music Group, right? Again, I said the 23andMe earlier, right? Julie Greenwald. Julie Greenwald's been in the industry forever in Atlantic Music, right? Diddy's PR manager, right? All these people are stepping down, right? And Babylon is falling, and this is Kendrick Lamar in the meatpacking district, right? Eric Adams, just got arrested today, just got indicted, right? Today. And he's been, all these people, right, have legal issues, the police commissioner, the school's chancellor, the aides, right? All these people here in New York are going down. Now, the question you have to ask is, and this was something, shout out to Adika Butler, he presented this to me. He said, well, maybe Mayor Adams, New York mayor, is getting indicted to cover up for Diddy crimes, right? It's better for him to be convicted of corruption than to be convicted of sexual deviancy. You understand, right? So that could be, right? That could be. You know, the industry is shaking in their boots because their truth is about to come out, right? They're going to get subpoenaed, right? This Diddy trial is going to upend Hollywood in such a way that people are going to be forced to look at themselves and look at their connection to celebrities, right? And look at the truth of themselves, you know? And that is the key. That's the key, ladies and gentlemen. Like, what is the truth? What are you truly, right? What is your morals, man's morals? Because your morals, man's morals, you're gonna slut yourself out for money. America's a capitalist country. It's based on capital. Most people will fuck you over for a couple of dollars. Young Dolph got shot for $800, right? $800 ain't shit. It ain't shit. I mean, I don't let me not say it ain't shit. Like, if I get $800 from one of y'all on the Cash App, you know, I'll be very happy. Right? I'll be ecstatic, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, $800 is to take a life, to take somebody from their mother, to take a son from their mother. He had children, to take a father from his daughter, to take a husband from their wife, right? For nothing, really. For nigger pennies. $800 is nigger pennies, right? That's nigger pennies. And to be promised what, 40,000? They said the dude said he was promised 40,000, and they gave him down $800. Big Jook, young, and the Yo Gotti's now involved because his brother's involved. So Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother, he said, this is what the guy said, that he sent them out on the hit to hit Young Dolph. And he gave him $800 up front to split. So that's $400 a man. Two people shot him. So that's $400 a man. And to get the rest later. How stupid that you have to be, how stupid are you to take $800 and leave $32,000 on the table for later and never get it? And these dudes is possibly going to do life in prison. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy, right? But this is the world that we live in. So, and I also want to address this. I'm going to get out of here soon. There was this, everybody's talking about this, so I want to talk about it, right? And demystify, bring out truth on this too, right? So everybody's talking about this mini moon. Oh, we having two. Oh, it's not sharing. Hold on, let me present this. All right, here we go. So everybody's talking about this mini moon, right? Earth having a mini moon for 2 months. Who cares a damn if Earth having a mini moon for 2 months? You know why you shouldn't give a damn, right? Because, again, people don't read past their emotions. So, oh, we're having 2 mini moons. Well, let's show you this. Earth, this is an asteroid, first of all. It's not a moon, right? And this happened in 1981, and this happened in 2022. Earth can regularly capture asteroids, which is what this so-called moon is. They gassing y'all from the near-Earth object population and pull them into orbit, making them mini moons. In 1981 and 2022, researchers said 2002 NX1 was another short-lived mini moon. And I've also read an article that said this also happened in 2020, right? So you can't see this so-called mini moon with a telescope, right? If you have an in-home telescope, you can't see, right? You can't even see with like some high-powered telescope. You have to literally like, and you can see planets with telescopes, right? This is how small this object is. You can see planets with telescopes. You can see the moon with telescopes, right? The face of the moon. Shit, I could, with this fucking Galaxy 24 Ultra, I could hold it up and see the surface of the moon, right? But with this, but you can't see this so-called mini moon. It's just a small ass asteroid where you have to have a high powered, like you literally have to be an observatory to see it. That's how small it is. So people are out here talking about there's 2 moons and dudes is online and dudes is on YouTube because they got to get likes and clicks, gassing y'all about this is why this is going to be exposed and more's going to be exposed because of this mini moon. This ain't shit. This ain't shit. It already happened and they didn't advertise it for you. But why they're doing this now? More distractions, more fear, right? Put you more in a lower animalistic state. So now you're in flight, fight, or fright, right? And you're in this, nervous state on what's going to happen, But again, people don't read past the headline. This is why I say I'm not pro nothing but truth, and you shouldn't be no pro anything but truth. Take time to do the research behind just looking at the headline, behind just looking at the title of the video, behind what you heard on TikTok. See if the shit that you're taking in is real. See if the shit that you're taking is the truth. Because the more truth you seek, the more truth in yourself you'll become. The more truth in your purpose you'll become. The more truth in your children and trying to find out what's wrong with them. How can I motivate them? How can I inspire them? People be lost with their kids and they don't know how to handle them. So they want to, hand them off and send them to boarding school or, send them to their grandmother or send them to another parent. And you are not taking the time to get to know the truth of your child. Your child is into something. They like something. They have a proclivity. Are you talking to them about it? Are you finding out what that is? And if they do show that they're into something, are you nurturing it, right? You should be nurturing your children on finance, right? Don't wait for school. Why isn't school teaching finance? No, you teach them. You learn it, and you teach them finance. You teach them entrepreneurship. You teach them holistic living. You teach them about health. You teach them about candle magic. You teach them about how to read cards. You teach them about crystals, right? You teach them. You teach them about taking care of themselves. That's why you're a parent. There's a lot of people that are mothers and fathers, but not parents, right? Because they read shit like this and get scared and it taps into their emotions. Instead of saying, fuck my emotions, let me see if there's truth in this. Now, we all get caught up, right? We all look at a headline and might jump the gun with it every once in a while. But some of y'all jump the gun every day. Some of y'all jump the gun every single day, every single TikTok video. I be seeing people share TikTok videos that I be like, yo, what the hell? And y'all know you didn't do no research into this. You just saw the TikTok video. They had that creepy ass music behind it. It sounded scary. It sounded plausible, right? So you looking for Bigfoot. You looking for the aliens on the moon. You looking for Nibiru. You looking for Planet Riz, right? You looking for mermaids. You're looking for... None of this shit is going to save you in the long run. None of this shit is going to save your children. None of this shit is going to resurrect you into the God you are, the spiritual powers and abilities that you should have, and to be the truth of who you truly are and the light that you truly should be shining on the planet. This does not mean that you're not going to have any hardships. This does not mean that you're not going to have any challenges. That's not what I'm saying at all, right? In fact, by you seeking truth, it's going to blow your mind, because you're going to realize a lot of the shit that you think is secrets being unveiled is really niggas trying to get money off your ignorance. People trying to get views off your ignorance. If I see a video that says Ben Affleck got locked up on YouTube, and I see that shit with 200,000 views, I'm like, damn, that's 200,000 dumb motherfuckers who didn't use their 2,000 dummies with smartphones, who didn't take the 10 seconds to look it up. Type in Ben Affleck and see what comes up on Google search. Type in Jennifer Lopez and see what comes up on Google search before you waste time watching the video that somebody's trying to monetize your dumb ass for. I'm calling you dumbasses. Not all of you. You're watching me, you're not a dumbass, you're smart, right? But those of you who know better, do better, So these are the principles of our ancestors, right? And this is where, you want to understand more about that, you could get this particular book, Medu Neter, Round Nephron Men. This is one of my Bibles. This is pretty much my main Bible, right? Comedic Spirituality. Well, y'all can't really see it, but yeah, if you try to get this book on Amazon, it's probably like $100, but there's a PDF on file. But it's Medu Neter, Volume 1. typing in the chat. And he breaks down a lot of these Kemetic principles. He's probably one of the best Kemetic teachers I've ever, mentors and teachers I've ever had. But, you know, and this is also on a scale, right? You have to get there to where you're able to live truth. So there's different things. I'm going to go over the tree of life breakdown. I did it in the past, but I'm going to do it again now that I've got more understanding and knowledge of it, to show y'all, you know, how you climb up these steps to get to this point. Because if you're not doing certain things, if you're just into spirituality for love and magic for money, magic for love, magic for money, magic to manifest things, you're not trying to manifest your true higher self, if you're not trying to manifest your most confident without designer clothes, without jewelry, without a big house, without a fancy car, right? If you were stripped down to nothing but rags, would you still feel confident? In the Matrix, remember when Neo went from the Matrix to the real world when he was in Zion, look at what he was eating, right? Look at how he looked, right? He didn't have all those trappings, because that was Zion was representing truth. And truth doesn't need to deal with materialism. It just needs to deal with collectivism. And once we get out of collectivism and elitism, right, we'll be able to form tribes that are really about moving and creating and building things, because we won't be distracted. And this is why these things have to happen. And this is why America still has to fall. And more and more and more and more and more and more. It's going to only get worse. I'm sorry to tell you. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse, right? And not only with the celebrities falling, that's just the beginning of the fall of Rome. The beginning of the fall of modern Rome is happening, right? And but the good news is there's many ancestors that passed that gave us lessons, you know. Frankie Beverly, right? Frankie Beverly and Mays, you know, his songs, you know, We Are One, Before I Let Go. You know, Before I Let Go by Frankie Beverly is a breakup song. Let's look at the lyrics, right? And it's played at every, you can't go to, and I've been, you know, clubbing in various states, and you can't go any place without playing that song. And when he passed, like I kind of looked up the lyrics and I was like, wow, this is really a breakup song. I never knew this all these years, you know. And let me share this. I never knew that this was a breakup song. I was like, whoa, mind blown. And, you know, it says, you make me happy, this you could bet. You stood right beside me, and I won't forget. And let me make sure, okay, y'all can see it. And and I really love you. You should know. I will make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. You know, now we've had our good times. That's not the same. We're hurting each other. Girl, it's a shame. I won't be foolish. No, no, no. I want to know. I want to make sure I'm right before I let go. When's the last time you broke up or had a breakup with somebody and you were like, I want to make sure I'm right? You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm right with you. I want to break up with you in peace. I want to break up with you where we have no drama and we're still friends and we're still cool as shit. And if you in trouble, your emergency, you could call me, and vice versa, I call you, right? How many people break up like that? You know, usually it's traumatic. Usually it's something fucked up, and there's blocking and all type of things involved, right? And I'm not saying there's such situations where that's not warranted, right? Because I damn sure know I'll block a motherfucker, you fuck with me in a minute, right? But you know, if you really, really were in a strong, serious relationship, you know, why not try to end it peacefully? You know, why not try to, you know, resolve it where y'all could still be cool, especially if there's like children involved. And how many, you know, if you break up with somebody, like, listen to this lyric. You know, I think the sun rises and shines on you. You know, there's nothing I would not do. This is a breakup. This is a breakup song, Before I Let Go. Like, he's telling her, look, I still love you. I still think you're the greatest. I still think the sun rises and shines on you, right? Right? I would never let you go before I let go. We were so close. I love your charm. I can't understand it. Where did we go wrong? I won't be asking, girl. I gotta know. I want to make sure I'm right before I let go. Right. So the ancestors' message is treat these, melanated men, especially, man. We're going through it right now. We're going through it. You know, um, with the Drake, the Diddy, the Cosby. The who else? Cosby, R. Kelly, and the way the media is trying to make it seem is that we're all sexual deviants. We can't do it before the let go. We just going to, be on top of women and trying to take their goodies, and all of us obviously aren't like that. But people outside and people who don't think and people who are led by the emotions, not their prefrontal cortex, right? Not being able to reason outside of their animal instincts, right? Are going to be um are going to perceive melanated men some type of way. So those of us that are in the vanguard are going to have to change that perception, right? We're going to have to start before and I let go some of these situations if we can. Now there's some situations where you can't. I've had situations recently where I was dealing with somebody and they were just mean, nasty, talking to me a certain type of way, and all I want to do is get the fuck away from them. You know what I'm saying? And I did. And I'm probably never going to talk to them again. It's somebody I really, really cared about, right? If I could have ended it a certain way or talked to her about it a certain way, I would have, but I couldn't. It just is what it is, right? You know, another situation, talking to somebody, they waited like 3-4 days, right, to tell me what was really wrong, where I really asked them like what was wrong. And then they gaslighted me and then semi-ghosted me instead of really telling me what was wrong. Those type of people, yeah, you separate from them because they don't mean you well, right? But if you can, try to do it in a peaceful manner. And I will say, in those situations, I did my best to end those in a peaceful manner. Where back in the day, I would have flipped the fuck out and been barking, and wherever I was, everybody would have heard the situation, because I was upset. But you ended in peace, right? Before I let go, okay, we breaking up. Let's we are one, right? Frankie Beverly. Let's try to end it in peace, right? Let's try to work it out. We got kids. It ain't working out. Please don't hide the kids from me. Let's work out whatever child support payment without going to the court. Let's set something up that's amicable for both of us, so I can see the kids, or vice versa. Take care of the kids and set something up. Things like that, right? Before I let go, right? This is the vibration. And if you listen to Frankie Beverly's music, like, you hear that same type of vibration. So tap into his music, tap into these lyrics, tap into this vibration. Like, these ancestors are dropping like serious breadcrumbs for us. Rich homie Quan, right? Rich Ho- Rich homie Quan, right? His whole thing was drugs, right? Get away from the drugs. You know, are you abusing drugs? Are you abusing weed? Are you abusing mushrooms? There is such thing as drug abuse. There is such thing as drug abuse. I know people don't want to think about it, but if you got to smoke weed every single day, if you have not taken a break from weed all year, right? If you're not willing, and look, the weed nowadays is different, right? It is. I will concur. And the way they've engineered the weed now is different than 90s and the early 2000s. Now that the government got control of weed, the way they have it, because I remember you could stop smoking in the 90s and you could still fall asleep the next day. But now it takes like 3 to 5 days, right? I don't know if y'all experienced that, right? But if you stop, if you smoke for a couple of days, or even if you smoke for one day, like, there's a recovery period of like 3 to 5 days where it's going to mess up your sleep. You know, I don't think it's just me. I talked to a couple people. It's the same thing. There's like a recovery period where you have trouble sleeping, right? It wasn't like that back in the 90s. And people will attest to that. It wasn't like that back in the early 2Gs, right? So they've engineered it a certain way. So, that you got to go through the crossroads. It's about, again, living truth in the crossroads. You might have something to do important. You might be avoiding, right, responsibility. You might be avoiding change. You might be depressed. You know, our Rip Tromby Kwan said he did an interview on Drink Champs, and he said that he was going through a deep depression and it led him to getting deeper and deeper into drugs. Some people are addicted to drugs because the pharmaceutical company prescribed it to them. And so because the pharmaceutical company prescribed them, fentanyl or oxycodone in these doses, which is designed to get you hooked, because that's all the new drug dealers are now. The FDA, right? The pharmaceutical companies, big pharma, they're the new drug dealers, right? They done took over all these industries, right? Weed, uh, even weed, right? Even mushrooms are sold in a lot of states now, right? You go to a store and buy them. So they've taken over all these industries, right? And they're engineering it so that you could be more and more hooked. I'm not saying don't smoke if you want to smoke. I'm not saying don't do whatever you're doing. But I am saying if you are abusing it, and abuse is abuse. Abuse, doing too much of anything is bad, right? Too much sex is bad. Too much alcohol is bad. Too much TV watching it. Too much of anything. Everything has to be in moderation, because it's again goes back to the old Egyptian adage of man know thyself. Do you know who you truly are? Do you know what you truly are? What is your mission here? The most important thing is to know yourself. If you know more about Diddy and Diddy's case than you know about the way the left and right hemisphere of your brain works, then you know about the gut, heart, brain axis of your body, then you know which foods irritate you and which foods don't irritate you, to what is the best diet for you, to how do your kids respond to certain things, which this kid is different from another, how can I motivate this kid, this child I have is more sensitive and this child I have is less sensitive, so I got to deal with this child in a different manner, softer, kinder, different words, sit down with them, whereas I could bark on the other kid and say things in an aggressive way, and that's what motivates them. This is when when you know thyself, right? You know others, you know your children, and you understand your friends. And best of all, you understand when you're getting fucked with. You understand when you're getting manipulated. You understand when somebody's playing games with you, and you're able to recognize it quicker. Why? Because you're in a sincere understanding of knowing thyself. And everyone that you encounter is only a reflection of you, even if it's in a casual manner. Because Frankie Beverly, we are one. Right? So the drug thing is a sincere thing that this is the time where you really want to examine that and see where is that taking you. If you're going, a lot of times people have bad jobs, they're in tough situations. I've been there. I definitely understand you're going through, hell, so to speak. Sometimes you got to sit in that hell. Sometimes you got to sit in that stress. And through sitting in that stress, using the spiritual tools like meditation, spirit baths, grounding, putting yourself in nature, taking nature walks, right? Changing your diet, fasting, drinking, eating more greens. Sometimes you got to sit in there. And once you sit in there and you take some time for silence, meditation, breath work, things like that, walking through nature, silence, listening to frequencies, binaural beats, isochronic tones, right? Mantras, things like that. And once you take that time to really dive into yourself, the answers to that problem is going to come to you. You're broke, the answer to that problem will come to you, how to fix it, what you need to change, where you need to go. An opportunity will pop up that will put you back into position of what you need. But if you keep masking it with liquor, with drugs, with lean, with weed, right? You got to get 4 or 5 surgeries and a BBL to feel good about yourself instead of taking your ass to the gym or getting yourself on a diet, right? And in some cases, I get it. If you were like in certain situations, you might need surgery. I'm not knocking surgery, but if you're doing surgery strictly for vanity reasons, you have to ask yourself why. Why do you feel this way? First and foremost, man, know thyself, right? It's not about knowing Diddy. It's not about knowing what celebrity is going to get down next. All that shit is a distraction. And it's not a distraction from what else is happening primarily, although it is, because we are on a verge of war, like I said earlier, but it's also a distraction from you knowing you and you being truly in tune with who you are and what you are. And that's the main distraction, for you not to know who you are, for you not to be aligned with your purpose, for you not to have your third eye open and be able to perceive truth, and for your conscience to be cold and hard. That's what this world wants you to be. Be materialistic and cold and hard about it. Look at everything external to save you. So Jesus got to save you. Muhammad got to save you. The pastor got to save you. The priest got to save you. The prophet got to save you. Kamala Harris got to save you. Trump got to save you. This politician got to save you. And you invest all your energy into things outside of yourself instead of you figuring out how you're going to save you. This year, I'm going to vote. But guess what? I'm going to vote. I'm going to write myself into the presidency. I'm going to write my own name. Rob Watson. I'm going to write that shit in and go to the voting booth. I'm going to vote for me. That's it. Why? I'm going to harness that energy from all these people voting, right? I'm calling them idiots, right? I'm going to, all these people voting for presidents that don't vote in their local elections, which is crazy because local elections influence more than the presidency. But, you know, again, these are the same people who will click on a video that says J-Lo got arrested and won't do any research, right? So they don't vote local election, but they'll vote presidency. So I'm going to harness some of that energy for myself and use it, right, for my goals and for my next moves, right? You can too, right, if you so choose, right? But investing yourself in somebody because of their color or because you think that they're a better person to lead, you lead yourself and invest in people that are truthful. None of these people are truthful. Kamala or Trump, none of them are truthful. None of them are telling you the truth. Like people be like, oh, look at the policies. Oh, you got to look at Kamala's policies. Oh, you got to look at Trump's policies. Oh, look at the policies of a liar. Like I'm going to trust the policies of a liar. People be from the hood and be believing like, oh yeah, they're going to do, oh yeah, when they get in office, they're going to do this for real, for real. And then they get in office, they forget about you. They don't care about you, real, for real, for real. But if y'all niggas mobilized locally, because see, there's a lot of people who use this spirituality thing to be apathetic. Oh, well, I'm going to leave anyway. I'm going to die anyway, so I'm just not going to come back here. But while you're here, you still want your garbage taken out, right? You still want the street lights to work. You still want your kids to go to good schools and your neighbors to be kind and nice. You still want police presence, right, around your neighborhood or somebody patrolling it to make sure you're safe and secure, right? And you and your children and your family can go out safe. You need these things, right? You need the lights to be coming on. You need electricity to come on, right? You need people to monitor and take care of the civics in your state where you live, in the county and where you live. Other people are mobilizing in that way, and they're getting shit done locally where they live in their states. Melanated people haven't tried, but yet we say we're the God bodies. And whenever we did try, people say, oh, you know, every time we try something, you know, this happens and that happens and this person gets killed and this leader gets killed. Well, that doesn't mean you don't keep going, right? It's 2024. It's a new day. They got DEI. They got melanated people on Game of Thrones with blonde hair. Every time I see them black people, so-called black people on Game of Thrones with blonde hair, like I chuckle. It's crazy. But that's DEI, right? So you got DEI, right? DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion highs, right? You got these different things happening now. So why not take advantage and ride that wave politically? Use your magic, use your candles for that locally. I'm just bringing forth ideas, you know? I'm just bringing forth ideas. Maybe the next generation will get it, right? But yeah, these ancestors, man. So young, you know, Rich Homie Quan, who else passed? James Earl Jones, you know, that's the royalty, right? If you look at Coming to America and the way he stepped out of that car, you know, and when he stepped out, when he James Earl Jones seen in Coming to America, when he came to America and he stepped out the car and the queens came out the car and they dropped them flowers on you, right? That's a melanated black man being treated like royalty with the lion on his chest. And he played Mufasa. And he played Darth Vader, right? The dark side of the force. So he played literally Mufasa King Jaffe Joe, right? You could say that's the light side of the force, and he played the dark side of the force, right? Showing balance, right? Which is my heart, lion. The heart represented the lion, Mufasa, uh, uh, and King Jaffe Joe, right? And the feather, right? Conscious representing your conscious, representing Dark Vader, right? The darkness, because from darkness comes the light. And when your emotions are not involved and you're just looking at what it is, right? You're void of how you feel about a situation and just looking at the truth. So James Earl Jones is a sign and symbol of my aunt as well. And he's a sign and symbol of your royalty and how you want to move, especially for melanated men, right? And understanding the power that you have. You see, human morality is flawed. And I'm going to tell you how human morality is flawed right now. So, do you think people who are in bondage, slavery, who were in bondage, who are in bondage currently, do you think that they could live a life without stealing? Do you think they could live a life, a fruitful life, matter of fact, without lying? Do you think they could live a fruitful life without wanting to get away from their captors and doing whatever it takes, even if it's murder? Why do you think the witch has a cauldron, right? Because the fear, remember, women were subjugated back in the days. Women couldn't even get a credit card in their own name until 1974. So the witches with a cauldron was kind of like a warning sign to people, because a lot of women would poison their captors. They would poison their husbands, right? They understood the science of herbology and horticulture and how to cultivate herbs, and which herbs, and a lot of so-called slaves, which are really prisoners of war, so-called black slaves, were using, right, these herbs that they knew from voodoo and they got from Kemet and they understood from, you know, their indigenous magical cultures, right, on how to poison their masters, how to poison people, and get free, so to speak, right? Or not even get, so to speak, get free. So morals, wouldn't work if you're hungry and you need, and the master's like, don't feed him, but you sneak a chicken leg out and feed him, while he's got whipped and he's on a steak or whatever, right? That would be against the law, right? In the movie Transformer 1, right? Uh Orion Pax, who was Optimus Prime, right? There was a scene where he joined this race and he wasn't supposed to join because he was a minor, but he convinced D16, who becomes Megatron. He convinced him to go against protocol, and all Megatron wanted to do was go with protocol. All he wanted to do was go with protocol. He never wanted to do it, and he had to trick him and convince him to join the race as a minor, right? So human law, man law, is not spiritual law. It's not God's law. It's not divine law. Divine law has nothing to do with man's law. Remember, your spirit is unconditioned. It's unconditioned. When you really hit a apex of spiritual development, you're able to take on whatever personality you need at the moment. Whether that personality is to be a thief, whether that personality is to be a killer, whether that personality is to be truthful, whether that personality is to be sneaky, whether that personality is to be a warrior, whether that personality is to be sexual, whether that personality is to be kind and nurturing, whether that personality is to be thoughtful and critically thinking, whether that personality is to be logical, whether that personality is to be emotional, right? Whether that personality has to activate your willpower, whether that personality has to enact justice. And I'm really talking about different parts of the Kabbalah and the Kemetic tree of life. I'm actually talking about different deities on there, right? These archetypes are personalities. And understanding Ma'at is understanding that the circle of life, the same circle of life you learned about in The Lion King, that everything is integrated with each other and everything is working for each other's benefit. This is why going out in nature is such a healing thing, because of your relationship with trees, breathing in oxygen, breathing out carbon dioxide. right? So, you know, these lessons that we're getting from, these ancestors that really passed, you want to really look at what Tito Jackson, right? I forgot about Tito Jackson. Tito Jackson, right? He's the one who started the Jackson 5. How did he start the Jackson 5? By breaking protocol, by living his truth. He saw Joe Jackson, his father, playing the guitar, right? And Tito would snuck and played his father's guitar when he was gone. And he wasn't away because he was away from his father. He was scared of his father. Obviously, Joe Jackson was an abusive dad, right? So who wouldn't be afraid of him? So he would sneak and play the guitar when his father was gone. And what happened was Tito broke a string on the guitar, and his father found out. And his wife, uh, Jackson, I forgot her name, but his wife said, that boy could play the guitar and he plays it good, probably better than you. So Joe Jackson told Tito, well, memorize this song and you better get it right. If you're going to use my guitar, you better get it right. So through the fear, right? Through the fear of Joe Jackson, this is why you got to understand truth, because it has nothing to do with human morality, right? The fear worked in the situation because it pushed Tito to get to the point where he mastered the song and his brothers were singing with him, right? Whatever old school song that was. And it showed Joe, okay, these kids got some talent, man. I got to put some money behind them. I got to train them, right? And get them to the big league, right? Get them to the big leagues. So understand that sometimes coming into spiritual power and becoming a divine being has to do with you making certain sacrifices that may not be popular, that may not net you the money that you think you're supposed to get. It may not get you the girl or the guy that you think you're supposed to have. But those things might be the best things for you. Me and my friends were talking and we were like, me and some of our friends actually were talking and we were like, man, if you would have gave me, 100 million, 1 million, even 1 million, 10 million at 23, 24, 25, like when Puff and them was getting it and Damon them was getting it, man, I would have crashed the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And we were laughing like, yeah, and we was all in consensus, like we would have crashed out, with that money and the mindset that we had, no internet, limited knowledge that we had, school system knowledge and things like that. We wasn't, a lot of us wasn't, I was like baby studying these things at the time, and I got locked up. So it's a little different. But if I was like 17 in the industry or something like that, 18, forget it. I definitely would have crashed hard, So, you gotta, sometimes the thing that you think you want is not exactly what you need. Sometimes the things you think you want is not exactly what you need. A lot of y'all think y'all need all these riches, but you really just need enough to be comfortable, And let me not say that. You should be as abundant as you want to be and as you wish to be. The world is yours. So if you want 1 billion, you should get 1 billion. You should work for it. You should grind for it. You should do your magic for it. And if it's out there to get, you could get it, right? But don't think that that's going to save you. Don't think that that's going to, if you have certain issues that you're working on, if you have past trauma that you haven't resolved. Like I was talking to somebody and they brought up I was offended and I was ready to flip. And I said, before I let go it, right? And be real peaceful about, I said, all right, I ain't even gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna just let you go and be who you want to be, right? And it was weird because this person brought up their past relationship. And I'm like, you're dealing with me, Why are you bringing up your ex-man and what they did? Why don't you evaluate me on my merit and ask me questions instead of just assuming, right? But sometimes you got to kiss a few frogs to find a princess, That's just how it is. So look at these ancestors that passed recently, Frankie Beverly, Rich Homie Quan, James Earl Jones, Tito Jackson, all these people that passed recently, they have a lesson, and these are now ancestors. So you could tap into their energy. You could work with them if there are things that you need to work on, and they'll be able to help you work on. And all you have to do is very simple: get a picture of them, get a white candle, and leave an offering. Find out if what they're like. You could probably put a lion next to James Earl Jones' picture. Rich Homie Quan, maybe a couple dollars, right? Tito Jackson, put a toy guitar. These are things, and light you up a white candle, man. And if you feel drugs, if you feel like you gotta to heal from drugs matter, if you feel like there's something that you gotta work on, Frankie Beverly, just play his music, right? Or get one of his CDs or something like that, and put the CD there, or look at his. This is how you tap into that ancestral energy. It's not hard. Your ancestors want to work with you. They're dying for a lot of y'all to work with you, but y'all want to work with, Ogun because you want to curse somebody, and you want to go to Lucifer, and all this dark shit, and which I'm not saying you can't do, right? But a low vibrational deity is like Jesus meeting Satan on the mount, right? And Satan offering all the things in the world. And yes, some of these deities can get you all the money you want. These low-level demonic energies, they can get you these things that you want on earth. But if you're not meditating on a regular basis, you have to first, we're already on that low frequency, right? We're already on that earthly frequency when we're tricked and misled and, turned a certain way. But if you're not having peaked yet on a higher frequency, right, and you're just staying down there, then you're going to have a lot of problems that magic is not going to be able to solve, right? And magic solves all problems. Magic solves all problems. Once you really do this work and you make it a lifestyle, and not only just magic, doing physical things, but you're meditating, you're doing breath work, right? You're listening to frequencies and mantras, right? You are around certain people that edify you, and it reminds you of your greatness and also shine their light, and you encourage their greatness. You're going to eventually get into a cycle of greatness yourself, and you're going to start magnetizing things. Because remember, what magic is basically based on your electromagnetism, and you creating portals with because when you're doing magic and you're lighting candles and you're putting herbs down, you're putting certain things down, what you're doing is you're creating a portal of energy, right? That's what a ritual is. A ritual is you creating a portal of energy, and that's the electricity, right? And that electricity causes magnetism, the frequency of the electricity. All frequencies are different. We all know that. We all know people have different vibes. Like, we have friends that might be, you might have a sexual friend. You might have a friend that you talk to when you're sad. You might have a friend that makes you laugh. You might have a friend that, is fleeting. You can't really catch them, but when you catch them, it's great, right? Or you might have a friend that's kind of sometimey, right? All people have different frequencies. So it's the same thing with, even the chakras and all that, right? Different frequencies, right? So spirits have different frequencies, and you could tap into whatever frequency you need based on the spiritual work or the portal you create. And that frequency is the electricity. That electricity now leads to magnetism. And magnetism is what magic is. Magnetism is what magic is. Let me say it one more time. Magnetism is what magic is. If you're trying to bring something into the reality from the unknown, from the darkness into the light, that takes electricity, the light, and the magnetism, electromagnetism. And that magnetism now draws things that you want to you, right? It's a spiritual science, right? And if you want to follow, some, religious type of archetype to do that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't have to. And you could still manifest the money, the love, the friendships, the tribe that you want, and whatever it is that you want, right? But manifest knowing yourself and understanding who you truly are, and understanding that as a God, you are a reflection and you are one with all things, and nothing is separate from you. Everything is a reflection from you, and everything is a lesson for you, right? There's no failures. It's only a lesson and a blessing. And the more you tap into that, the more empathy you will also have for others. And the more empathy you have for others, first starting with yourself, right? The more you'll be able to tap into your psychic abilities and tap into them specifically. And it'll be a great warning. And you get lessons from every relationship. Like some of y'all are in relationships and keep repeating the same problems in relationship because you haven't learned the lesson. All you do is keep pointing the finger at the external. They did this, they did that, they did this, they were like this, they did that. And maybe they did, right? There are people that wrong you. There are people that do you dirty. But you have to ask yourself, what was the lesson from that situation? Why was I with that person? Because everybody that you interact with, especially on an intimate level, is a reflection of you. If you wouldn't choose them, you wouldn't be around them. What lesson would you to learn from that situation? That will propel you higher and higher and higher. And knowing and want to seek those lessons and wanting to seek that truth rather than seeking validation for your animalistic ass emotions, right? Last but not least, before you came into Kemet, one of the things you had to see was this. One of the things you had to see, whoa, why is it not? Hold on. And this is what magic, what spiritual development, what self-mastery is really all about. And magic really is a journey of self-mastery. People think it's about manifesting material things or love or binding or hexing or cursing. That ain't really what magic is about. There's no indigenous science or indigenous culture that practice magic. And even the modern cultures, you know, Ifa, Santeria, Lukami, all them, there's a moral compass that you have to have. There's certain rules and restrictions, right? Certain laws that you have to abide by in order to manifest certain things. But it's really ultimately the Sphinx or her Amakhet, which is really the real name, but let's use the Sphinx. It's really about the head of a man or a woman, whatever you want to say, right? And the body of the lion is about you controlling your animalistic emotions. You not being led by your emotions. You want to be the person that true spirituality and being a true spiritual being is not saying you're a god and saying you're a nine-ether being. True spirituality is you being around your best friend's girlfriend and not sleeping with her, not fucking her because you know that that's your best friend's girlfriend and you don't want to, it's not worth risking a relationship. You want to be an honorable person. That's true spirituality. True spirituality is knowing you can leave your children with somebody and trust that they're not going to be touched and molested. You know, nowadays, this modern new age type of ideology is, you know, it's very Crowleyan. Man, do what thou wilt, you know, do what you want to do. You know, there's no law. There's spiritual law. Shit, there's physical law. Like I always say, if there's no law, you could do what you want, jump off a building and see if your magical ass could fly. See if the law of gravity don't bring your ass right down to earth, right? Splatter you 100%. I'm not recommending anybody do that to test the theory, right? But what I'm saying is that there are laws, right? Keep eating Popeyes every day and fast food every day and see if your health doesn't go into decline. Keep not working out and not taking care of yourself and see if you don't die early. This is the law. These are laws, dietary laws, physical laws. These are laws, immutable. The laws that in the morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., the sun is going to be out. 7 a.m., by noon, the sun is going to be at its brightest. This is a law. This is not optional. This is not for discussion. This is the law. This has nothing to do with your mood. Imagine if God, the divine, had feelings and was running off feelings. There'd be some days you niggas didn't get rain. There'd be some days you niggas didn't get sunlight. There'd be some days you niggas wouldn't get out of winter. Because the Bible says what? God is a jealous God, right? The Bible has all these human emotions for God. This is why you know the Bible was put together, right? and serve the agenda of slave masters, because all these human emotions, right, that God has, killing people, turning Lot to a pillar of salt for looking back, you know, uh, you know, letting Moses and them walk across, and then flooding Pharaoh and all them, jealousy, anger, vindictiveness. These are all human emotions that the God of the Bible has. These are all animalistic emotions. This is how animals run. This is not how a person with a neocortex lit up. And I'm not just talking about your pineal gland, because everyone wants their pineal gland to be open so they can see out of the world shit. But if you can see out of the world shit and you have these psychic abilities, but you don't know who you are, you're going to crash and burn. You're going to crash and burn, because you're still going to be dealing with insecurity. You're still going to be dealing with your past that you haven't healed from and done shadow work from. You're still going to be dealing with trauma. You're still going to be dealing with your ego and egoism. You're still going to be dealing with fake elitism. You're still going to be dealing with challenges that you're not trying to fix in your character and your behavior, right? You're still going to be choosing escapism instead of choosing knowledge and truth. You're still not going to be researching shit and going to be looking at headlines and looking at TikTok and believing it's real. So the party got to die, as Kendrick said. The Diddy's got to be exposed. The celebrities got to be exposed for you to realize that that's not truth and that's not real wealth. Real wealth is knowledge of self, health, right? That's real wealth. If you don't have good health, you can't. If you don't have good health, if your chi, your kundalini, your ra is not aroused, you're not going to be able to live truth when challenges come. You're going to be sucked in. You're going to fall victim. What 50 Cent said, if your only value is your beauty, and I'll look that as, and we'll add a male to that, if your only value is your money or your beauty, right, you're going to do some whole shit. You're going to slut yourself out. You're going to bend over for the baby oil treatment, right? Because you think that your value is money when you are the money. Money is currency. When you live your purpose, money will come. When you're pursuing your purpose, money will come. You ain't even got to be at the apex of your purpose and money will come. I'll tell you that from my own life. The minute I started coming into my path, things started aligning from me miraculous ways, which I'll get into another time because this is a 2 damn hour video and I was supposed to only be on here for an hour, but I haven't talked to y'all for a while. So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you got something from this. Hopefully you look at things differently. Hopefully you start doing your research. Hopefully you won't be as invested in celebrity. Observe, don't absorb. Because once you absorb and you become emotional about these celebrities, you become emotional about people on TV that you don't even know. You become emotional about musicians you don't even know. You know, I like Kanye. Like, Kanye is one of my favorite artists. I like certain people, you know what I'm saying? But if I find out Kanye's touching kids, fuck Kanye. If I find out I like Drake's music, but finding out Drake's touching kids and there's proof, fuck Drake. You know what I'm saying? I like the Wu-Tang, but if I find out Ghostface and Raekwon, you know what I'm saying, beating women, fuck them. Because I wouldn't want my children, my mother, my family member to go through that. Treat a person the way I want to be treated. And yeah, maybe they won't do it to you back. Are you God or are they God? Are you God or are they God? Are you the one who doesn't want to resurrect back into this avatar body, baby body again? Or are you willing to say, fuck it, I'm going to follow my emotions, I'm going to follow this animal in me, right? I'm going to let it rule me, my reptilian complex. I'm going to let my limbic brain run me instead of my prefrontal cortex, where I make decisions void of emotion, right? Where I live by my art, where my conscious is now becoming activated because I'm becoming as light as a feather, heart's light as a feather, and I'm not weighed down by conspiracy. You know, a lot of that conspiracy stuff is built on fight or flight. A lot of that conspiracy stuff is built on fight or flight. It's built on anxiety. And you want to know all the truth about everything in the world, and you don't even know the truth about yourself. Some people know more about Project this, Paperclip, the Illuminati this, and they don't even know how their amygdala and their hippocampus in their own brain works. They don't know what the corpus callosum in their brain does. They don't understand what their left and right hemisphere does. You don't understand how your chakras work. You don't understand the glands for your chakras. You don't know this stuff. And that's okay. Right? Because I didn't know it at one point. But if you're really about this spiritual work, self-mastery, mastery of self, that's where the magic is. That's where the magic really is. That's where the gifts come. That's when the things come from nowhere. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Let me take this off this. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. I was locked up, right? Got hit at the board, right? So I had 3 to 9 when I got locked. I got arrested for a robbery, right? I was selling drugs, robbing people, totally savage, right? When I was younger. And I was I'm gonna tell you a brief story. There's many more stories than that the prison experience, but I'll tell you a brief story. I was in prison, right? And I was on Rikers Island, about to go upstate. When you get locked up, you start out. So Diddy's kind of where I was, but they moved MDC to Brooklyn. It was in Manhattan, right? But I was in MDC before in the 90s. So you go to county, right? Which are some out of state call it county. Go to county, then you go to Rikers Island, right? So Diddy's next stop is Rikers Island. Then for Rikers Island, you go upstate to whether you're going to maximum, medium, or security prison, right? So my crime warranted me to go to a medium security prison, right? So I wasn't behind bars, right? I was in a dorm. Orange is the new black, just to give you a picture, right? So anyway, I'm on Rikers Island, and Rikers Island, you could wear your street clothes, right? So I got like fly shit or whatever that I got on, you know what I'm saying? People ain't really fucking with me, I'm spiritually protected. And at this time, I was a Jehovah's Witness, just reading the Bible, right? I was on my beginning basic journey of spirituality, right? Just studying the Bible, but I was following the principles of, treating a person how I want to be treated, right? And I've always been a giver. So long story short, right? I'm about to go to Rikers Island. I got all this stuff, right? And I could have sent it home, but I'm like, man, I'm about to do 3 years, right? 3 to 9. So I just give stuff away, right? I'm giving people stuff, food, clothing, just different stuff as I leave and taking just what I need upstate because I'm about to do this time. So long story short, I get upstate. The people that were supporting me financially on the outside, some fuck shit happened, which I won't get into, and the support stopped, And do you know, like, people upstate, and when I was in Green, people upstate, they took a liking to me for whatever reason. And these guys were feeding me and taking care of me and giving me what I need out of nowhere. This is in prison. This is in the belly of the beast, right? And there's many, 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 many more stories, right? But I treated people like I wanted me to be treated, even in that infancy, right, of understanding spirituality. I still treated those men. I said, these men don't have it. I still had it with the resources I had at the time. Let me hit them off. Let me show them love. Mine is ultimately about love. By the way, that's the foundation of love. Treating a person the way you want to be treated is what love is about. That's what any good relationship is about. Any real relationship is about treating the other person the way you want to be treated and them treating you the way they want to be treated. That's love, right? And that's empathy, right? That leads to compassion. Well, that's love. So showing them love, I was able to get the love back until my situation got straight and I was able to get money from the outside, right? But my commissary was straight. They even put me in the mess hall house, so I was able to sell stuff from the mess hall, right? Most people don't come in prison and just get sent into the mess hall house. You usually have to go through, filling out applications or, knowing the CEO and things like that. It's a privilege. So for me to just be put in there when I went through this shit with my people and I couldn't get the money I was getting from the outside, it held me down. I was there. I was good. But imagine if I didn't do that and I was just selfish and sending shit home, shit that would have been out of style by the time I got home from prison. There's a lot of things that have happened in my life. One of the things I would recommend you do this harvest season, if you have some clothes, it's the fall, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. Give some stuff away. That's some real magic right there. Stuff that doesn't fit you, stuff that's outdated, stuff that you don't want anymore. Give some stuff away. Don't take it to Goodwill or whatever where they're going to sell it. Like, give it to somebody. If you know somebody who needs it, or take it straight to the homeless shelter yourself. Put it in a box. You know what I'm saying? There's people here in New York who sell stuff. I just gave them like 2 bags of clothes that old clothes. Some stuff still have tags. They're just too small for me now. You know what I'm saying? Or I didn't return it in time. Just give it away. And watch what happens. That's your ritual. Give some shit away. Like the leaves are falling, let some old shit fall in your life. Let some old shit that you don't need anymore, let it go. Give it to somebody. And watch what happens. Watch the magic happen. Like, share, subscribe. If you're new here on the channel, I hope this was entertaining and enjoyable and informative, right? And I wish you all the best. I hope you wish me the best. Leave me any feedback if you need to in the comments or any questions. And I will see you soon. Peace.